Hello, everyone, and welcome to David and Jeff's Survivor Podcast. I'm David, and with me, as always, is
Jeff.
How are you doing, Jeff?
I'm wonderful. How are you today, David?
I'm doing great. Another very entertaining season. Well, it's been entertaining so far, but another very entertaining episode of Survivor. Tribe Swap, and that's sort of the theme of our podcast today is swaps, switches, and shuffles. And we're all going to be talking about those tribe swaps and how they make everything crazy throughout Survivor and maybe other reality shows as well. But before we get into our topic today, we, of course, need to talk about our sponsor.
Yes, our sponsor, as always, Zoe's Lobster Shack. You know what, David, though? I do have something to say, and that is that this podcast is committed to honest and ethical journalism. And we would be lying a little bit if we had said that every review of Zoe's Lobster Shack was great. Overall, people love Zoe's Lobster Shack, but there was one person, specifically Rory Freeman of Survivor Vanuatu who did say that he was disappointed because his lobster did have a little crack, and overall he felt like the whole place was a bit classless.
Yeah, well, don't take Rory's word from it. I mean, he can be a little cranky from time to time. And I actually showed that review to actually a survivor on this current season, Spencer, and he felt the need that he really needed to sway people because he didn't want people to be influenced by the likes of Rory. So here's what he said. I am a student of the sea, and I know that Zoe's is pound for pound the greatest supplier of lobster in the New England area. And I feel that everyone who listens to this podcast needs and requires that kind of quality to be rewarded by going to Zoe's Lobster Shack. So he feels very adamantly about this, that everyone needs to go to Zoe's Lobster Shack. So I think that puts Rory in his place a little bit.
Yeah, I would agree.
So listen to Spencer and not Rory. Please go to Zoe's Lobster Shack and get any meal of the day and have a great service along the way. It is full of class, not classless. So, enough of that. It is time to get into our podcast. And as always, we start with our top 10. What is our top 10 this week, Jeff?
We are doing the top 10 most entertaining tribe swaps, shuffles, or switches.
Yes, so there's been a lot of swaps, shuffles, and switches throughout the years of Survivor, and some of them, most of them always end up screwing someone over, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about just from a pure watching and entertainment value, which ones do we have ranked higher. So this is another where we go back and forth until we determine a winner. The highest one. But some on my list may not make it, and some on Jeff's may not, since we're doing a collective list. So I think it is your turn to go first, Jeff. So why don't you give us number 10?
Well, number 10, I'm going to choose. So I like swaps that are a little bit different, where they bring in some element that is different than most. And this one I thought had a good idea, but I think they executed it just a little bit wrong. And this is going to be the swap that occurred in Survivor China. I like the idea behind it, but I think it should have been 3 tribe members instead of just 2. I like the idea that you get to pick who from the other tribe you get to bring over, knowing, of course, that someone from your tribe is gonna also leave. But I think it needed to be so that the tribes were even after the swap. On each tribe, there's 3 members of each. Because that gives you the chance to be a little bit more equitable in the way that you spend your time. We saw exactly what was going to happen in Survivor China when, PG and Jamie threw the challenge just to get Aaron out and tried to do so again. It wasn't executed well, but I think the potential there for it to be an interesting swap, it is definitely there.
Yeah, this wasn't on my list. I didn't think it was that entertaining. I think the people sort of got screwed, like you said, but they were in a position. I think they were hoping that it would be more even, but it was in the position where it was 7-5. So even if you did the 3 like yourself, now you're giving the one team advantages on both sides. And I think that's why they didn't do 3. And so they did 2 just so, the same tribe wouldn't have the advantage on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is where, they throw the challenge and get Aaron out. It was a little entertaining, but I felt so bad for Aaron that I just couldn't quite put it on my list.
Fair.
So I have number 9 then, so I'll skip my 10. My number 9 is one that I actually think brought a lot to the game. And, it gave us some new alliances and some good moments, and that is the swap in Survivor Fiji, where they finally, those poor, that poor horrible tribe some of them finally got to experience the life of luxury that the other people have been living, but you also got the new Four Horsemen Alliance, and you got that sort of going, and because of that, Yao Man got to find the idol on the other tribes. So I think it was a really cool dynamic, and I thought brought a lot to Fiji, because at that point, it probably should have happened an episode or 2 before that, because at that point it was Dragon, just seeing Ravu just completely get decimated over and over again. Was that on your list, Jeff?
I did not have the Survivor Fiji swap on my list.
Any particular reason why?
I just really hated the have-nots twist, and I felt like supporting it on a list would inevitably be supporting that twist. Supporting the swap would be supporting the twist.
I am not supporting this twist, but I am supporting the swap. I think because of the have-nots, they needed to have a swap to change the energy and change what was going on.
My next one will be one that was really interesting. I think had it turned out differently, this would be so far from my top 10 list that I couldn't possibly stomach it. But I think the fact that it turned out the way it did in terms of who was voted off next really makes it a top 10 swap. And that is going to be the swap from Survivor All-Stars. This is, of course, when Amber is left on the Shapiro tribe, all on her lonesome, with all Mogos, and her and Rob are able to turn it around so that she does not get voted off. Instead, Jerry gets voted off. Had Amber just been voted off, this is probably the worst tribe swap ever. It's the most unfair. Amber had no chance. She got screwed by a twist type swap. But the fact that she was able to kind of pull herself out of it really gave us this great 1 or 2 episode story arc. Actually, it gave us a great 3 or 4 episode story arc if you add in the stuff about Lex and Kathy as well as part of this. So I think that this swap really produced a lot of the drama that came out of that season, and overall I think was good.
Yeah, I had this at number 7, so I was right there with you. I almost think it would be more entertaining if Amber had just gotten out, and then the whole game of All-Stars would have been completely different, and we would have seen Boston Rob out for blood, and and it would Lex and Kathy be able to get the numbers. But
yes, but people would have said she was screwed by a twist forever.
Yes, which is very true.
Not that enough people care about Amber, but
yeah, but I agree. Surprisingly, I'm not a huge All-Stars fan as a season, but this twist was interesting and just fascinating to have one person completely separated from their tribe, and just the luck of how that worked out. I thought was pretty compelling. I could do less with the crybabyitis of Boston Rob while they were separated, but so I have number 7. Now here's the hard thing. Do I go backwards to my number 8 and assume we have the same ones for all the other 6? So I don't think I'm going to do that. So I'll do my number 6, which was another interesting one, Cagayan. We had the abysmal Luzon tribe and finally switching it up, and how I found it entertaining how on the tribe that most of them were on, everyone was flocking to them then, and everyone, now they became the center point. for their tribe. And then on the other tribe, you have the start of the blind side of Cliff Robinson, and subsequently Wu, who's getting very familiar with being blindsided at Tribal Council. Um, and that whole mechanics, and really Crazy Tony starting to really come into Trish really becoming a standout of having strategic moves and really seeing what she could do. So I found the Kagayan switch very entertaining.
Yeah, I actually did not have it on my list because it was just kind of milquetoast to me. But I agree with you. I think the stuff with Luzon is compelling. Unfortunately, their tribe didn't go to Tribal Council, so we didn't really get to see any of it come to fruition. David, you there?
The next... Yeah, you have the next.
Oh, you're waiting on me for the next pick.
I'm waiting on you.
What is this? Number 6?
Number 6.
Okay, I have my 6. Delete. Okay. My 6th place pick is going to be... we'll go with Survivor Guatemala. Survivor Guatemala. This I liked because it was an interesting format for a tribe switch. You kind of picked people, you said this person gets to stay, this person gets, for whatever reason, and then everyone else had to swap. And it ended up being that the 2 people who went on the picnic with the volcano got to stay, and the person with the most tribe spirit got to stay, and then 1 random person also got to stay. And I really liked that because it allowed you to, it kind of like let you choose, but you didn't know you were choosing, so it wasn't random. And I thought that was good that Survivor kind of let it be up to the people and not let it be completely random, because random always has a sense of like it could screw someone over. So I like the Guatemala twist.
Yeah, I have it. I had it at number 8. That was the one I skipped, so I'm very fine having it on my list. Yeah, Guatemala was a very entertaining. This is where we start to get the rise of Judd, and where he flips on his tribe, and then because of that later we get him and Margaret and that whole feud. And I think it really gave you a really fun tribe and the other tribe of having these fun people like Brandon and Danny together with Brian and Amy and Gary, and I thought that was a really really awesome. I enjoyed the Guatemala swap. My number 5 is actually the most recent season, Survivor Cambodia.
Oh, yeah, I had that in my top 10, but not in my... I don't have it. I had already passed over it.
Yeah. I thought this was a really good swap. I guess it's also called an expansion or whatever you want to call it. But going into 3 tribes, I think it almost starts the game over, except there's these now alliances, and how do you deal with that? And I hope the other 2 tribes become as dysfunctional as the Angkor tribe. But I mean, it was very entertaining to see the Jeff Varner freak out and everything that happened there at the challenge. It was interesting to see that Steven's status still hasn't changed, and to see Kelly Wentworth throwing Terry under the bus. So I thought it brought a lot of entertainment and interesting stuff into the mix.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see. I'm on number 4. I'm going to pick the Survivor Amazon tribe swap. I like this one because of the way that they formatted the tribe swap. You had the great little exchange between Dave and Jenna, which was really fun to watch. And also I think the tribe swap ended well because now you have Alex and Shauna together, and so Shauna's become a character again. And you also have some great scenes on Heidi's new tribe. And you have Jenna kind of realizing some of the strategy of the game is to not, what's the word I'm looking for? Not just tell people everything, because, she tells Dave all about Heidi, and then that's Dave's first pick. So I really like the Amazon swap. I think it did a lot for the game. I wish they hadn't given them food, because I feel like that's a little bit of an unfair advantage. But I don't know. Overall, it was really good.
All right, I didn't have that one on my list. Not that it was a horrible one, but for me, it was sort of how you felt about Kageon. I felt about Amazon.
That's fair.
So now I have 4 that I really like. Darn it, I should have got rid of another one. And I have to get rid of one. Oh. I guess I'll get rid of that one. So I'm going to go with number 3, Marquesas, Survivor Marquesas. I really liked this swap for the fact that they rarely do this anymore, but they kept the numbers on the tribe the same. And I really liked that. You know, the Rotu tribe was dominating Mara'amu, but they still kept the numbers the same, and it was really, to me, it was really cool to see the randomness of that, and to still have this story of the underdog tribe even after a swap, because a lot of times nowadays you'll have a tribe that's lower numbers and then they'll make them even again, and you don't really still have that underdog tribe. So I really liked it. I mean, we got Sarah out in that episode, which was sort of like, okay, she was destined to go. But it was just interesting to see Kathy and Pascal and Nalia on that new tribe, and how much enthusiasm they had, and then the forming of the Rotu Alliance, and Boston Rob and Sean, how they how they dealt with the tribe dynamics and not being in control anymore. So I found that all very interesting.
I did not have that on my...
Oh, wow. We have very different lists, Jeff.
Yeah, and now I'm kind of upset. I hope we have the same number 1. I hope, David, we have the same number 1?
Too.
I'll pick number 2, and this may be part of why we didn't have similar lists, because I'm not sure that you would have counted this as a switch, swap, or shuffle. But my number 2 is going to be the Cook Islands Mutiny.
That's not, no.
That counts.
I don't think so.
Did it switch, swap, or shuffle? Yes, it did.
No, that's mutiny. That's different than all of them.
No, I'm sorry. This counts. This counts. I declare this as counting.
Come on.
Do you do you agree? If it counts, where would you have put it?
If it counts, it'd be in the top 5 at least.
Okay, I agree, because I think it gave us the storyline of Cook Islands, which, while Cook Islands ends up being a pretty crappy season, the underdog, like, I-2-4 story is really good, and that wouldn't have happened without the mutiny, without Candace and Jonathan flipping over. So I really like the mutiny. I know, David, you don't think it counts, but hopefully you agree that it was good for a swap, switch, or shuffle.
Just curious, if you couldn't use that one, what would be in its place?
Vanuatu.
Okay, we'll keep Cook Islands. All right, so number 1, I have to go for number 2. Just got the shaft. I have to go with my number 1 with the OG. The first time, we never saw anything like this before. Survivor Africa, the first tribe swap. I think it was really fascinating to see. We got the downfall of Silas, which was really awesome, and just how no one even saw this coming at all, and the pure genuine reactions of it, and how it all played out, I found very fascinating to watch.
Yeah, that was my number 1. I think it's the correct number 1. Yeah.
All right. So what
was your number 2?
My number 2 is actually Blood versus Water.
Oh, I really disagree with that.
What?
I disagree, but continue.
I found it really fascinating to have the swap, to have loved ones now together and what that implicated, but also having Vetus now on a tribe of all women and how that worked around, and then also having the other tribe and Jervis and Tyson and their antics of secretly trying to take Aris down. Very interesting and changed the game a lot. All right. The other one I had at number 4, I had Survivor Panama and the birth of Kasaya, and we got to see the craziness of Shane just going to Melinda and Sari and saying, one of you guys is going out, and the birth of this alliance that they made already is breaking and falling apart.
Yeah, I had Exile Island on my list as well, my top 10, and I also had the Gabon, both of them.
Gabon was both Gabones?
I counted them together, yeah. They were both interesting.
I had the first Gabon swap. That was my number 11. So, but all right. So our list is 10 China, 9 Fiji, 8 All Stars, 7 Cagayan, 6 Guatemala, 5 Cambodia, 4 Amazon, 3 Marquesas, 2 Cook Islands, with an and number 1 Africa. So there are our top 10 list of most entertaining tribe swaps. So let's start talking about tribe swaps, switches, and shuffles. Of course, this happened first in Survivor Africa, like we just said, and ever since then, it's been a pretty big staple of Survivor. There's been a couple runs where they chose not to put it in, but I think those seasons sort of suffer without it. So I think it's one of the best twists that Survivor's ever done, and one that they should hopefully continue to do. Now I can get into semantics of I like the way they do it some ways better than the others, but overall I think it's very helpful for the game. It does add some luck, so sometimes you just get unlucky as far as entertainment value, but overall I would say it's a very useful twist in the game.
Yeah, and I think like people have the right to complain a little bit, like because I got screwed by this Survivor twist and tribe swap, but without the tribe swap, I don't know that Survivor would have lasted as long as it has, because if you watch those first 2 seasons, they're interesting because they are, interesting people. But imagining like every season being Redemption Island or One World. My doorbell just rang. I'll be right back.
Okay.
That doesn't happen normally, so no one ever comes to visit me, so maybe you'll get to watch my murder on screen.
So Jeff had just got someone at the door, and now we are about to play mystery games. So we'll see who is at his door. In the meantime, One World did have a tribe swap. But there was South Pacific and Redemption Island both did not, which I think both of them could have vastly improved with the tribe swap. As well as you had a run there in after Gabon where they did 2, they seemed to get on this.
I'm not murdered.
Oh, that's good. They got onto this kick where they had more than, or they're like after they had 2 with the Gabon, they were like, well, let's just stop that. So then they had 18, 19, and 20, all with no tribe.
Yeah, I think it worked well with 20 because of the heroes versus villains theme. But, I don't know, overall I'd say seasons without a tribe swap are, forgiving the first 2, overall seasons without a tribe swap are worse than seasons with a tribe swap.
Yeah. So, is there what do you think is the worst tribe swap in Survivor history?
Survivor Karamoan, I think.
And why is that?
Because it provided no suspense. One tribe was clearly superior in terms of physical strength, and the other tribe had a clear division where you could see who was going to go home in the next 2 votes without even having to think too hard about it. So it just made the next 2 episodes like you just knew what was going to happen from the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. And part of that is just the randomness of it, I would guess, and part of it uh, is again maybe they should have done like a Marquesas and kept the tribes the same because they evened them out again, you know, and then the fans were on the minority on both sides,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, clearly one was going to win, but I think even if the other tribe did happen to lose, a fan was going off that side either. So it really was like, you know, it made it already doubled the fact that the fans are pretty much irrelevant this season. You know,
Right. I agree.
it was just like the straw that broke the camel back. Is okay. We're not supposed to care anything about these guys. Shot in the game. So,
What do you think was the worst?
I don't know. I always felt the China one for me was a little like you're screwing people over, you know, like that's the like you're whoever the tribes pick, they're gonna get rid of, you know, because I mean at least in Cambodia right now they were only 6 days in. So I mean, while the Bayan tribe can say that they were such a huge family, they were still only there for 6 days. Whereas like they were together, you know, at least twice as long, you know,
Yeah.
at least 12 days. So, I mean, at that point, you're well established with one another. And now you're going to make two people be the minority, and both of them, it's going to be very hard for them to make inroads.
And you got to choose who they were. So you got to, as a tribe, discuss who do we want to get rid of.
Yeah. And like I said, entertainment-wise, it wasn't actually horrible. Like, I wouldn't say it was the least entertaining. I mean, it's on our top 10 list. But I just, from a screwed-over standpoint, you know, at least the first one in Africa, you got to pick your own tribe members that went over. Now, they didn't fully know what was happening. But most of the other one, it's random, and you can just blame it on horrible luck, you know, that you drew that. But essentially, the tribe chose you to vote you out. That's essentially what happened in China. Any other really unfair swaps that you can think of?
Not off the top of my head. Is there one that you're thinking of?
I don't think so. I think those were the strongest ones in my mind. I mean, a lot of people complain about the second swap in Gabon. They think that one.
Well, that's just because a lot of people like Marcus.
Yeah, I think it's just because Marcus got screwed. But I personally liked that, and it kept them on their toes. And, oh, yeah, you're not merging. And you just threw an idol away in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit more about the swap here in Survivor Cambodia. What were your thoughts on this? The tribe breakdowns. What did you think?
Well, yeah, this is something we've never done. We've never done before. From 2 tribes to 3 tribes, and I have to say, I think it's phenomenal. It's something people have kind of been talking about for a while. I think a lot of people like pitched this to Jeff Probst, whether it's via Twitter or just bandied it back and forth amongst each other. I think I really liked it. I think it went well. It produced some really interesting tribe dynamics. I was convinced that Terry's tribe was going to lose just because Terry got some really cocky confessionals. Really cocky. Yeah. My only thing is I wish that they hadn't given one tribe nothing.
I agree. I think that puts them at a huge disadvantage, and I think that's the thing that I hate most about it is that not only are 2 people, and obviously that didn't matter in the end, but 2 people at a disadvantage, just like at the other 2 tribes. But now they literally have to put all their effort and energy into starting from scratch, and they have little energy and little food. And so going into the challenge, they're destined to lose. I think they're setting up a team to be a failure of a team.
Yeah.
Where I think it's a little more fun to have evenly matched teams. And, and they're probably a little on the weak side compared to the other two tribes, just with how it broke down. But I don't think they're like a horrible challenge
No,
team.
not at all.
They were fairly close in that challenge. I mean, they were just slightly behind in the puzzle, and I think that they could have won that one. So I think it could have been back to the fact that they didn't have a shelter, they didn't have food, and they're working from scratch. That maybe their minds weren't quite as sharp as the other ones going in. Who have hammocks and are just relaxing on the beach.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the solution to this, and I think this would breed a lot of confusion, is have everyone meet at the new tribe's beach, leave a tree mail there saying, start working on your camp, and everyone's like, wait, there's 18 people here. We're not merging. Like, you can't merge at 18. What is going on? But they'll do it. They'll get started on the shelter, and then tell everybody we're breaking off into 3 tribes. So that way, at least that tribe has something. They've had to work, but so has everyone else.
Yeah, that would also be interesting because now people would be already trying to make alliances with people.
Right.
And now we're split up. You're not actually together. I think that would have been. I think it was a really good idea, Jeff.
Yeah, and I think the only thing is, the only difference is, I think it would be, or the only difficulty would be, I think it'd be really hard for production to get all of it. You know what I mean? To just tell 18 people to do something and then try to film all of it with their conversations and all. I think that would be hard.
Well, I mean, they've done it before in Fiji and in Palau.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it's not completely unheard of. So, I think it would be hard to fit that into an episode 3, to have that start and then do a tribe swap and then a challenge. I think that's probably ultimately what the biggest hindrance is the airtime. You have 42, 43 minutes to try to show all of that. But because I mean, the swap happened right at the beginning of this episode, so I mean, they really tried to give enough time where you see the dynamics of all the tribes.
Right.
But so let's say who benefited the most from this tribe swap?
Probably Steven Fishbach. Because now he has options, which is something that he didn't have before.
He has some options, but it's looking right now like I could see Jeremy saying, let's keep Spencer and Kelly over Steven and get him out. Like, they're still showing him as sort of buffoonish,
Yes, but I feel like Steven, I hope Steven is at least smart enough to understand, like, he would know if that's happening and could at least then try to swing it to be a tie.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know.
Let's talk about, you have the 2 groups of 4. The 2, Takeo and Bayan, both have 4 people from the original Bayan. Do you think any of these people are gonna, go try to shuffle up and change the game?
I feel like Joe and Kelly Wentworth are getting along. You could kind of see that happening. And I think Kelly ended up not as bad as she could have. But I feel like for the most part they're pretty tight. Who are the 2? It's Spencer and Kelly Wigglesworth on Bayan. I feel like that tribe's got the biggest chance just because there's Steven Fishbach there. But I feel like both of those, it's going to be the original Bayan tribe sticking together.
Yeah. When I was hoping that the original Takeo could stick together on the Angkor tribe. But, oh my goodness, Ave Maria just... Well, and Jeff, let's give credit for his awful Survivor breakdown. Um,
Hashtag.
hashtag Survivor Breakdown. If you don't know it, it's worse than it was shown. So he got caught, mouthing words to Kelly Wigglesworth saying, I guess Monica and Kimmy are on the outs or something and work with them. But then when Jeff asked him about it, apparently, and he said at tribal council he doesn't remember, but he apparently was outing everyone on his entire tribe for having deals with people and who they were talking to. So he really alienated every single person on his tribe, which is, it's pretty amazing that he didn't get voted out after that. But a horrible, horrible game move.
Well, and it seems like his strategy was just to lay in the shelter and let other people kind of blow up their own games. Because I think we can both agree, like Abby, Maria, or PG, if whoever of those two gets voted out, it's their own fault. Like, it was totally PG's fault that she got voted out last night. 100%. Yeah.
Well, and from exit interviews, I heard that Varner did have a little bit of a role in that. He was the one who went to PG and said, Abby's not with you. She's going to try to vote you out. And then they ended up going and talking to her. And then she said, I'm not with you. But yeah, PG probably should have just let it stay Varner and not been adamant of trying to get Abby out.
Yeah.
And
I agree. And had Abby been voted out, it would have been her fault, I think. So.
Yeah, and she probably would have only lasted 3 more days, but it's 3 more days longer than she did.
Right.
So, do you think this Angor tribe has a chance at winning?
Yes, but it's going to take. I don't think they have a chance at winning a physical challenge.
Well, arguably, one of their main puzzle people was PG, who is now out.
Yeah, but it seems to me like that's a pretty good puzzle tribe.
Okay, well, we saw the challenge in the next time on the the great giant puzzle cube, and you get some great wipeout shots.
Yeah, and I think that's a good tribe for that. That's a good challenge for that tribe because then you have to have a caller, and you've got all the loud people on that one tribe.
Well, yeah, but can you really trust Abby Maria's directions?
Tasha, even. Tasha's loud.
Tasha could be a loudmouth.
And who do the other 2 tribes have?
Let's see. Keith, Terry, Joe, Cass. Probably Cass yelling for her tribe.
Maybe. I'd say Cass or Terry.
And then for, let's see, Jeremy. Probably Jeremy for the other tribe. Or Kimmy.
Oh, God.
Kimmy or Jeremy for the other one. But it's amazing how a tribe swap can completely change the game. I think it completely changed Varner's game.
Oh, yeah.
Andrew Savage would have you believe that this is like the next worst thing to the Outcast. Just with the pity party he was throwing himself there. Yeah, can you think of any other reality shows that utilized a swap switch shuffle of some kind?
I was trying to think of that on the way home, and I really couldn't think of many. I mean, Big Brother doesn't have tribes. Amazing Race is already on teams.
Can you imagine if they just had one leg where they're like, you're going to be with a different partner for this leg?
But then who gets eliminated?
They'd have to make it a non-elimination.
Or they eliminate both teams.
Yeah, which would be crazy. Or those people are now those one, whoever those 2 are stuck together with each other for the rest of the game.
Oh, jeez. So that could be another partner, because if let's say like you and I were together, and I was with my brother and you were with your wife, but your wife and my brother weren't together on that leg. Now they've got a whole new partner to get used to. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Could you think of any Could you think of any that have the?
Well, the Apprentice does tribe swaps.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. But that's really
Sometimes,
just Donald Trump saying, "You go here, you go here."
well, sometimes he like mixes them up, and other times he just sends like one person over. He's like, "Well, this team sucks. They need some help." But there's been at least a few times where he's like, I think they called it a corporate restructuring in the first season.
Yes.
A corporate restructuring, which essentially is a tribe swap. But especially when they were doing like men versus women, they'd like to mix it up at some point, you know, and have them evenly matched. But yeah, not too many other shows have utilized the tribe swap, I think. So this is one of these that's fairly unique to Survivor and or Mark Burnett, and it's probably just because of the format of the game.
Right.
But interesting, and I think it brings, like we said, I think it brings so much to the game. Is there any other effects that it had on anyone in Cambodia?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Did the swap have any other effects on people from Cambodia? Anyone else we need to talk about?
I thought Spencer came out pretty well. He seemed like he really and part of that is the fact that he got good people on his tribe, but I think also like he's handling things well. If there's one person to go after with emotional appeals, Jeremy's probably that person.
Yeah.
But
well, yeah,
I'd say he came out pretty well.
He's trying to be emotional by sharing a story about how he's not emotional.
Right. I did love the irony in that. And that he actually said, like, I'm not an emotional person. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty funny. Well, it obviously put a fire under all of the Bayon tribe, but especially Jeremy to find the idol.
Yeah, how did you feel about the second idol find?
I thought it was pretty good. It wasn't quite as suspenseful as Kelly's, obviously. I mean, he was pretty easily able just to grab it and stand behind the chest, but I thought it was still pretty good. I enjoy having it in the challenges.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because this one he didn't really have a second chance like Kelly did. You know, he had to grab it there. He would have had absolutely no opportunity to grab it once the puzzle started because it seemed like it was pretty far away.
Well, it was in the chest, so what he could have done is maybe if
no, it wasn't. It was on the thing where the chest was sitting. It was not on the chest.
I thought it was on the chest.
No. The chest was and it was on the platform.
Oh, okay. So
yeah,
then
he had to grab it then.
Okay, yeah.
And I really thought he was going to get caught. Like, he ran into Kimmy, and then he, like, was on his knees still when Kimmy came by with the key. Like, I thought someone was going to say something, but...
Yeah. Yeah, I in one of the secret scenes, he's talking about how he wanted to make sure... He said he probably overthought it, but wanted to make sure at the first two, he was also sort of doing the same thing so they wouldn't be suspicious. When the
I think that's a good strategy.
Yeah.
Just like if I had been Kelly Wentworth, I would have tried to make sure that I was on the front right of that, of that raft.
Yeah, for sure. But any other thoughts you have on Cambodia or tribe swaps?
No, I think we've kind of covered it. I like this topic, and I'm excited to see what we can kind of scrounge up for next week's.
Yeah, obviously, this tribe swap is going to have huge implications on the rest of the game. So I'm actually hoping they have another tribe swap a little farther down the line, go back into two tribes. But it will be interesting to see what happens. And I hope that there's some way that Jeff can get Abby and Wu back on board, and they can get rid of Andrew or Tasha. But we'll see. It's looking pretty bleak for my man Varner.
Do you think that what was I going to say? Do you think that this kind of 2 into 3 tribe swap is something that they'll do in the future, or do you think this was a one-time deal?
They could do it in the future. I mean, I actually, you know, I almost probably prefer 3 tribes from the beginning, just because you know, unless they somehow were able to make it more 3-3, 3-3, I think then it could be very interesting. But to have the 4-2s really is not quite as good, just because now you have to get 2 people to flip in order to have the majority.
Right.
So, and I guess it depends on how this season turns out as a whole, as if they'd want to do it again.
Yeah, I agree.
But all right, before we go, I have a challenge for you, Jeff. A little Survivor trivia challenge. Are you up for it?
Yeah, my Survivor trivia is not doing so hot right now, but we'll see.
All right, it's a very simple challenge. All right, we have all 31 seasons of Survivor minus the 3 all returning player seasons, so 28 seasons. All right.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a last name, and you just have to tell me what season they're from.
Okay, I think I can do this.
Yeah, pretty simple. So I'm even going to give you some helps, since it could be pretty daunting to have 28 of them. So you'll get 3 skips. I have a random order that I'm doing them. So if you ever want to wait till there's less options to do that one, you have 3 skips that you can use. And then you also have 3 eras. If you're not entirely sure, you can use an era, and I'll tell you if it's in between 1 through 10, 11 through 20, or 21 through 30.
Okay. And I'm sorry, you said if I skip, I have to answer it later, right?
Yeah, you do have to answer it later. It's just answering it when there's less options, because each season is only used once.
Okay, let me get a spreadsheet going here. Okay.
All right.
Do I get extra points if I can name the person?
You don't get extra points, but you get extra street cred.
Cool. I'm all about the Survivor street cred.
Yeah. All right, so you ready for the first one?
Yes.
Jackson.
Oh, geez, this is going to be harder than I thought.
Yeah.
Jackson.
Now, no looking anything up on your computer, Jeff.
No, I'm not.
Just making sure.
Okay, I'm gonna use a skip for Jackson.
All right, using a skip already. All right, let's move on. All right, next one is Nelson.
Oh my gosh, this is gonna be a lot harder than I thought.
Nelson.
Oh, David. Okay, I'll use another skip on Nelson. That's the only thing I can think of to do.
Another skip. All right. Next one, Schultz.
Jacqueline Schultz, season 29.
That is correct. You got one. All right. Next one, Spencer.
Linda Spencer, season 3.
That is correct. Now you're getting in your groove. Jefferson.
Michael Jefferson, season 24.
That is correct. Next is Hughes.
Does Tracy Hughes Wolf count?
That is correct. 6. Oh, you didn't say the season.
Season 16.
Yeah. Okay. You knew that, but it's needed to say it. All right, next one. Gomez. Gomez.
Liliana Gomez, season 14.
That is correct. Next one, Roberts.
I feel like there's a junior behind it. No. Okay, I'm going to use my last skip for Roberts.
All right, no more skips. You have 3 eras left. All right, next one, Olsen.
Mitchell Olsen, season 2.
Correct. All right. Next one, Davis.
No, not Kim Davis. That's a county clerk in Kentucky. I can't get Kim out of my head now. Okay, I'll use an era.
Era, 21 through 30.
Davis. Tyrone Davis, season 21.
Correct. All right. So far, you haven't gotten any wrong. You only have 2 helps left, though, so you're running a little low. All right. What's next?
I don't know.
Alexander.
Lisa Alexander? No, that's not right. Kim Alexander? That's not right. Laura Alexander, season 26.
That is correct. All right, next one. Gray. Gray. Gray.
Gray. Era?
All right, only one error left. 1 through 10.
Gray. Oh, I feel like that's Ramona Gray, season 1.
Season 1 is correct. All right, next one. Next one is Milliman.
Ruth Marie Milliman, season 12.
That is correct. All right, next one is Berg. B-E-R-G. Berg.
Leslie Berg? No. Berg. Jacqueline Berg. Jacqueline Berg feels right. Jackie Berg.
What? Say that one more time.
Jacqueline Berg, season 17. Jackie.
That is correct. So far, you still have not missed one.
I don't miss, I just ask for help.
All right. Varela.
Oh, Brianna Varela, season 11.
That is correct. All right. Carrie.
Greg Carey, season 10.
Correct. Next one. Hanson.
Oh, okay, I'll use my last era.
The last era, 21 through 30.
Oh, man. Okay. Hanson. Caleb Sierra. Brad. I feel like Sierra. No. Hanson. 25. Oh, Katie Hanson, season 25.
That is correct. You didn't cheat, did you?
No, I was counting it out in my head. I was going through like the new people on each season.
Gotcha. All right. Next one. Stafford.
Matthew Stafford, Detroit Lions quarterback.
Is that your guess?
No. Stafford. Oh, jeez. Harkey, Jackson, Ellis, Cruz, Jones, Cade. Oh, Ken Stafford, season 5.
That is correct.
You're lucky that I started at the top of the list and not the bottom.
We don't have that much time, Joe. Callahan.
Bill Callahan, Huskers coach.
Is that your answer?
No.
Okay.
Callahan.
I'm gonna give you a 1 minute.
1 minute. That's it.
That's it. We have to move here. No one wants to hear you, thinking for 5 minutes.
And I don't have any more helps.
I'll give you one more skip if you want.
Okay, I'll skip it then.
Okay. Next one, Wheeler. Wheeler.
No, that's Welch.
Wheeler. Wheeler.
Spell it again.
Wheeler. Wheeler.
Sydney Wheeler, 18.
Correct. Next one, Bankston.
Caleb Bankston, season 27.
Correct. Next one is Cascaden.
Lindsay Cascaden, season 30.
Correct. Next one is Lloyd.
Sharia Lloyd, season 15.
Correct. Next one is Mitchell.
Mitchell?
Yep.
Linda Mitchell? No.
Mitchell. Mitchell.
Shauna Mitchell, season 6.
Correct. Next one is Finta.
Brady Finta, season 9.
Correct. Next one is Borman.
Lindsay Borman? Oh, no. Rebecca Borman, season 13.
Correct. Next one is Wright.
Wright?
Correct.
Steve Wright, season 22.
Correct. All right. Next one is Johnston.
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 Ton, right?
Johnston, yes.
Okay, so it's not Dara.
There's been lots of Johnsons, but only one Johnston.
Johnston.
30 seconds.
Urgh. Austin, Rhino. That's not Dara. 19. Justin, this Cam, Ashley Trainer. Yasmin Giles, Beth Browning. 23. Brandon, Stacy, 7.
15 seconds.
Alexis, Garrett, David, Garrett. What was Garrett? No. Jatia, Lindsay Ogle.
3, 2, 1. I need a
I'll
season.
say season 23.
23 is incorrect. You got one wrong so far. Let's keep going.
Are you going to tell me what it was?
Not till the end.
Oh, you... okay.
All right. The next one, I think we're back to your skips. So, Jackson.
Patricia Jackson, season 4. Why did I skip that?
Next one, Nelson.
Oh, I now know Callahan. Nelson. Albert, Sophie, Edna, Brandon, Keith, Ozzy, Dawn, Whitney, Cochran, Mark, 7, Nelson, Nicole, Trish Dunn, Michelle, Desaro, Sean.
15 seconds.
Cass. Oh, shit. Okay.
3.
I'll say Pearl Islands.
Season number?
7.
Incorrect. All right, we got 2 wrong. Next one, Roberts.
Burton Roberts. I knew there was a junior behind it. Season 7. Damn.
And the last one...
Callahan is 19.
19. All right. The 2 you missed was Bryce Johnston, Cagayan, and Rick Nelson.
Rick! How do you forget about Rick? I literally went through the entire South Pacific cast and didn't even think about Rick.
So not bad, though. 26 out of 28. Very impressive, sir.
It was when I could get on a streak that I was what killed me. If I had some more of those skips, I think I would have done a lot better. Yeah. If I had been able to get on the wagon a little bit earlier.
Yeah. But very done. Nicely done. Thank you for playing. I think that was very impressive. Because just to hear a random last name when it's so big, especially at the beginning, can be difficult. So, all right, that is all that we have for this podcast. Be sure to go to Zoe's Lobster Shack, as always, but also check us out on our Facebook group, David and Jeff Survivor Podcast, or our website, survivorpodcast.blogspot.com.
Make sure you hit the subscribe button on iTunes so that way you can see the podcast each week. It'll show up on your computer.
All right, we thank you guys so much for watching and or listening, and we will be back next week. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.